And welcome back to more political chatter. In this video, we will be talking about the Chicago mayoral election and its twists and turns, and my final prediction, as it is taking place on Tuesday in 2 days. So this video will be my final prediction on the pre-runoff election. I definitely, of course, as most believe, that it will go into a runoff. But this is a race like no other. It shows when you have more candidates how much more interesting an election, not just a presidential, but an election can be. While usually we have just Democrat versus Republican, but look at all these candidates that it's showing in this video here. We have so many candidates in this race, and so many of them. Well, I shouldn't say that, but a lot of people have a shot at becoming the next mayor of Chicago. So, a couple days ago, a new poll was taking place, and Paul Vallas has taken the lead. I mean, these are not names that are nationally known. Cam Buckner, Chai Garcia he is a U.S. representative, pretty funny guy, really, known for his, comments that most politicians wouldn't say. Jamal Green, no one knows. Brandon Johnson, Sophia King. Lori Lightfoot is the incumbent mayor, and, we're going to be talking about all of this. Paul Vallas, Roderick Sawyer, Willie Wilson. So, as I, just mentioned, Lori Lightfoot, as you all know, is the incumbent mayor of Chicago, who is extremely unpopular. She won her first term in 2019 by a very narrow margin on the first round of voting, and then the runoff was just a complete blowout. But she only won by about 1.5 points in the first round of voting. And look, it was just like what we're seeing now. So many candidates in this race, and of course they are pretty much all Democratic. But anyway, looking at 2023, we're just going to be talking about this race. Yeah, all of them are officially nonpartisan, but all of them are members of the Democratic Party. So there are no Republicans in this race, which I am pretty surprised at. I mean, obviously the Democrat is going to win, but I would think at least one Republican would step in. With this divided crowd here, I would think that that there would be one Republican who might gain some momentum in this very crowded race. So anyway, let's get started. So, looking at polling is going to help us a lot, because this is a race where you can't just say who's going to win. In one-on-one, without polls, you can give a good guess, like in a Senate election or in a gubernatorial election. But something like this would be really hard, and polls will help us even if polls are not always right. The most recent poll, the two most recent polls have shown Paul Vallas in the lead. That I'm not sure how accurate these polls are, but I mean that's big, that he has been leading in the past two polls, and that does mean that he is gaining some ground. And just looking at the most recent poll, M3 Strategies, I've never heard of them. I think that Victory Research, I have heard of them. They did some in 2022. I think that would be more of a accurate how do I say this? Accurate results. But looking at the sample size, not that large. 806 people, 988 people. M3 Strategies only has 416 people. So looking at Victory Research, does show Paul Vallas in the lead, followed by Lori Lightfoot. So Lori Lightfoot is not completely out of it. She can get into the runoff, but I think that she would have a very hard time winning the runoff. I think that is Lori Lightfoot's biggest challenge. It is completely possible. Honestly, it's likely that she gets into the runoff. But once she gets into that runoff, she is just so unpopular where she cannot win that runoff. That will be a runoff for Chai Garcia to win, for Paul Vallas to win, for Brandon Johnson to win, for whoever to win. So it does show Lori Lightfoot in second place. It shows Brandon Johnson in third place. So Chai Garcia was this, kind of guy that nationally people got behind Democrats, were like, let's elect this guy, and they still are. And, that proved to be really something. That all these people were saying that in the beginning of the race. He was coming in first or second place in all of the beginning of the polls. And then you can see there was a point where he just fell off. He just fell off. Like, he was polling at 7.4% in a poll in January of 2023. Maybe he got some second place or first place right here. But in the days leading up to Election Day, these most recent polls, he is not doing too well. Try Garcia, in the beginning of the year, I would have said that the vast majority of people would have said that Try Garcia was going to become, am I saying that wrong? It is Try Garcia, right? It's not like Quay. I don't know. But anyway, what was I saying? But yeah, in the beginning of the year, most people would have said Try Garcia was going to become the next mayor of Chicago. But the tides have really turned in this race. There have been so many ups and downs for the candidates, so many twists and turns that it is becoming unlikely, to be frank, that Try Garcia wins the mayorship of Chicago. It really is. I mean, there is a very narrow path of Try Garcia becoming the next mayor. He would have to pull out an upset in the first round, okay, of voting. He would have to pull out an upset to get into the runoff. I mean, it is unlikely with all of these other candidates, and with the significantly, and we're going to get to this, the rise of Brandon Johnson. But with all of that, with Brandon Johnson polling in the M3 Strategies poll, with Brandon Johnson, a nobody, polling 7 points better than U.S. Representative Try Garcia, it's going to be hard for Try Garcia to get into that runoff. And when he does, he has to hope he is facing off against Lori Lightfoot, because essentially that's the only candidate that Try Garcia can beat at this point. I don't really see Garcia. Looking at this polling, it's looking like Paul Vallis is more popular than Try Garcia. That Brandon Johnson is more popular than Try Garcia. Excuse me. Sorry about that. But it's not looking good for him. So continuing this with this victory research poll that we have been looking at for some in this video now, he is polling a point below Lori Lightfoot in third place. So according to this poll, Lightfoot Vallis will get into the runoff, but Garcia, sorry, not a point. I was looking at Brandon Johnson, 4 points, which is not anything better, more like 3 actually. But in fourth place in this victory research poll, we do have Brandon Johnson, and this is nothing like I expected from Brandon Johnson. I mean, I like to say, and I've said this many times, you can usually tell how well a candidate does based on their Wikipedia photo. Cam Buckner, what is this? He's not doing well. But Try Garcia, he has like a portrait, good quality. That means he is a major candidate in the race. Jamal Green is an exception. Jamal Green is not going anywhere, but he just has a really nice one. And then we have Brandon Johnson, and this is his picture for Wikipedia. First of all, yeah, it's that mini, and then you zoom in on it, it's so low quality. It was probably taken from like a Facebook post or something. It says Chicago nurse strike, September 2019. So, looking at his Wikipedia photo, he is not someone that I would expect to be doing so well. But as you can see, according to polling, he has really, sorry, I have been coughing a bit lately, but he has had a significant rise lately. He is now a major candidate to become the next mayor of Chicago, and I would honestly love to see that, because every once in a while there is that big political moment where there is this huge upset and a nobody rises from this field of candidates and gets some job. Pete Buttigieg, he won the Iowa caucus out of nowhere. That was insane. But Brandon Johnson, I feel, really could do this. He was polling under 10%, in early February. And now, just a week or two later, he's at 16%, and he's at 18% in this M3 strategies poll, polling above the incumbent mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, by 5 points, polling 7 points ahead of Try Garcia, a U.S. representative, and 18 or 14? No. Okay, my mind is stalling. Yeah, 14. And polling 14 points behind Try Garcia, which is insane. I don't know. This was the one with only 416. But the point is, in this M3 strategies poll, Brandon Johnson is in second place. That's insane. In the Victory Research poll, he is in fourth place. That's not really very good for him, but he has had a very significant rise lately in these mayoral polls, and he really has a shot at becoming the next governor, especially if he pulls off some giant final push before Election Day, and maybe, just maybe, he gets into the runoff, and that would be crazy, but maybe he's being overestimated in the polls. We really don't know. In fifth place in the Victory Research poll is, let's see, who is, I believe, it's Willie Wilson, who I really don't see getting anywhere. When you have consistently been polling around 10%, 11, 10, 12, 14, 12, 12, 11, when in polls over a month you've only been polling around 10, you are not going to gain some momentum in the last 2 days of the election and somehow get into the runoff. Willie Wilson, I really don't see doing that well. I would say, because these polls are all around the same area for Willie Wilson, that he does do does do pretty well. I don't know why I said that. That he does do around 10% of the vote. In sixth place in the Victory Research poll, we have Sophia King, 3.7%. She is not really going anywhere. And then for seventh place, we have a tie between three candidates: Cam Buckner at 0.7, Jamal Green at 0.7, Roger Sawyer at 0.7. So, first of all, we can just rule out a bunch of candidates that really don't have any shot at winning. Cam Buckner is not winning. Jamal Green, despite his Wikipedia photo, is not going anywhere. Sophia King is not going anywhere. Roger Sawyer is not going anywhere. Willie Wilson, really, he is polling at 10%, but and I'm not saying that's bad, but I can say that he will not become the next mayor of Chicago. He is out of it. So who has shot at becoming mayor? Paul Vallis, Lori Lightfoot, Brandon Johnson, and Try Garcia. It is a four-way race at this point. Try Garcia, Lori Lightfoot, Paul Vallis. Who else? Brandon Johnson. So what is my prediction, you say? Well, in the first round of voting, I believe that Paul Vallis will come out on top. I think that in the first round, that Paul Vallis will be the victor. As you can see, looking at this polling over, how long it's been polled. This is December of 2021. They've been polling it. Let's see. Paul Vallis is leading. So he is leading in the most recent poll, and kind of by a lot. You can see how he has risen over time, and he is now at top. So I believe that he will win in the first round of voting. Who do I believe will come in second place? It really is tough. I would say that it would be a surprise if Brandon Johnson gets second place. For second place, it's really a contest between Lori Lightfoot and Paul Vallis. Who do I think? Not Paul Vallis. Try Garcia. So Lightfoot or Garcia, who do I think would win? With all this vote splitting, I would think that Lori Lightfoot does win second place. I mean, I'm not just saying that she is polling at second place currently. I'm not just saying it because of that. But I mean, Brandon Johnson is even polling ahead of Try Garcia at this point, and I really don't see Brandon Johnson just because he's not well known enough, across the nation and all that. No, that doesn't have to do with it, but still, candidates that are known across the nation will do better than are only known in Chicago. But I mean, just the fact that Brandon Johnson is pulling ahead of Try Garcia, who was at top for a good amount of time. He was way at top, and then, he just fell dramatically there. But I'm thinking that Paul Vallis, Lori Lightfoot make it into the runoff first and second place. That would be a very disappointing runoff, in my opinion, for those two to come on top. I would like Paul Vallis and Brandon Johnson, that would be cool in my opinion. Or maybe Try Garcia and Brandon Johnson battling out in the runoff, both underdogs. That would be kind of fun. But honestly, right now, Lori Lightfoot is the underdog to make it into the runoff. But I think that she does. I think that's Paul Vallis and Lori Lightfoot, the runoff. I'm not sure when the runoff takes place, but not for a while. And in that runoff, in my election night, a long time ago that I made, well, not that long ago, but a while ago, I made for the Chicago Mayoral, I did have Lori Lightfoot winning. I had that same runoff prediction, Vallis versus Lightfoot, but honestly, I've changed my mind since then. She's just polling so bad. Approval ratings are just so bad. And I would see Paul Vallis winning that runoff. So my prediction is that Paul Vallis wins the Chicago mayoral election. And of course, I will make an updated prediction once that first round of voting takes place, and then before the runoff. I would make my final prediction then once we actually know the candidates. But I'm hoping I'm right on that. Well, I'm not hoping because I would not want that runoff just because I don't want Lori Lightfoot in the runoff. I mean, it would be really something if Lori Lightfoot, the incumbent mayor of Chicago, does not even make it into the runoff. That would really, really be something if she does not. But yeah. So, thank you all for watching this video. Again, I believe that Paul Vallis and Lori Lightfoot will make it into the runoff. Vallis wins the runoff as of right now. But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope to see you all next time. Thanks again.